Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This thing that was even the charge.
I think we.
Oh, yeah.
I can't find what time it's scheduled for them either. Okay. Yeah, no, alright. So that's where. I'll have to read it, but Secretary of State said something about this house. Just been certain. That says that it also includes images. So I'm gonna have to read it, but don't specific language. Special. So we still gotta do something to deal with. In your. Yeah. Just saying. That reminder thing yesterday. If the Secretary of State didn't go in depth.
What we're gonna decide to do. I drafted an email and I sent it to Dave to look at, but I haven't heard back.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Might change
We
things.
will begin with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. And I will note for the record that all board members are present. Good morning. We will dive right into our agenda. I move the approval of the minutes from the August 21st, August 29th, September 11th, September 20th, and September 27th, 2023 board meeting.
I'll second that motion, but I will abstain from the September 20th and 27th. But my vote will not apply to those because I was not here and I appreciate being excused from those meetings.
Absolutely. Noted for the record.
I as well. Missing one of those meetings.
Was it August 21st? Okay, so we'll know for the record that Ms. Chappelle will abstain from September
20th and
20th and 27th, and Mr. McCafferty will abstain from August 21st. Hearing no other readiness, all in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. It is so ordered. Thank you. I move the acknowledgement of Secretary of State's Directive 2023-19. The November 7th, 2023 general election canvass instructions and memorandum 2023-03, the responsibilities of sheriffs and police for the November 7th, 2023 general election, and note that that is confidential and not for public display.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
The ayes have it. On to ballot, I move the final approval of the ballot order for the November 7th, 2023 general election. That information was provided in our packet.
I'll second that. I do have a question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
What's the significance of the red highlighted items? And did I miss that?
Those are split precincts.
Oh, okay, okay.
So, yeah, so just kind of, so you can see that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, any other unreadiness on that motion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
The ayes have it. I move the preliminary approval of the ballot order for the December 5th, 2023 East Cleveland recall election.
I'll second that motion.
Second, and that information's in our packet. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
The ayes have it. On the candidate and petition services, I move the acknowledgement of the following deaths in and resignations from and appointments to elected office. And we acknowledge with our sympathy the deaths of Michael J. Russo, Cuyahoga County Court Common Pleas Judge, unexpired term ending 12/31/2026, and Jack C. Christ, Parma City School District Board of Education member. We acknowledge the resignation from elected office of Lori Jones, Olmsted Falls City Council, Member of Council at Large, and the appointment to elected office of Megan McCoy, Olmsted Falls City Council, Member of Council at Large, and Jason Streichert, Parma City School District Board of Education Member.
I'll second that motion. I do have, if I could make a
Yes,
comment
please.
though, my sympathies to, both the Pride and, Russo families for the death, but I knew personally, he was, a colleague at, we served in the same law firm, and he was just an amazing person, and I just feel like I need to say that, just, he'll be missed. He's a great judge, just had a great judicial temperament, and more importantly, he was a good guy. And so, just gone too soon. So, sorry, just what I need to say that.
Very appropriate. Thank you so much. The motion is before us. All in favor, aye? Aye, the ayes have it. And move the acknowledgement of the candidates withdrawn from the November 7th, 2023 general election. For the record, all of them are nonpartisan races. Highland Hills, Member of Council, Tracy Oglesby, Olmsted Falls Council at Large, Lori C. Jones, Olmsted Falls City School District Board Member Allison Hines, Strongsville City School District Board Member Jeff Johansson Senior.
Second that motion.
And second by Ms. Chappelle, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
The ayes have it. I move the authorization to pay 289 voting location managers, 313 voting location deputies, 3,165 precinct election officials, and 150 election substitute officials for the November 7th, 2023 general election. And the sum total, according to our records, is $971,800.
Second that motion.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and I move the approval to appoint not less than 2 precinct election officials for each precinct pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 3501.22 for the December 5th, 2023 East Cleveland recall election.
Second.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
The ayes have it. On to election support. I move the authorization to process payment in the amount not to exceed $46,660 for 92 private voting locations, 4 CMHA properties, and 1 zone station being used for the November 7th, 2023 general election.
Second.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
The ayes have it. And I move the final authorization for the allocation of voting booths for the November 7th, 2023 general election, and the details are given in agenda item number 10.
Second.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
The ayes have it. And on to 11, I move the preliminary authorization for the allocation of voting booths for the December 5th, 2023 East Cleveland recall election, and the details are given in agenda item number 11.
Second.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
The ayes have it. In order to our human resources, our personnel agenda, I move the approval of the following appointments. Sarah Eisenhart to election official 1, registration department, effective 10/23/23. William Andy Ryder, elected official 1, registration department, effective 10/23/23. And Lily Barrientos to election official 1, registration department, effective 10/23/23. And the special election pay for the November 7th, 2023 general election as outlined in our board packet.
Second that motion.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and it is so ordered. We will now move on to new business, and we'll do these in reverse order. I'll ask Director Perlotti to come and give us an update related to the December 5th, 2023 recall election. And after we've had that, the Deputy Director Gallagher will end us on a high note with the update for the general election. Thank you.
So, and if you don't mind, before I give the December 5th update, I just want to see if we just have a quick conversation on an email I received yesterday. Mayor Brandon King emailed a protest document to me, protesting one document that included the recall election and the East Cleveland Charter Amendment. Items that we have previously had discussion on at board meeting. And looking at the document that has come in the brief conversation with council, it looks like we are the incorrect jurisdiction for this to come forward for us to deal with. But I didn't want to make that decision without having a quick conversation. And so, I mean, I think ultimately this is something potentially that I would provide notice that we would dismiss this and that it would need to go elsewhere. But again, I wanted to again, since we have this meeting, let's have a quick conversation on that.
Yeah.
So we know what's going on. And it deals with two separate issues. The charter issue, which is on the November 7th ballot, in which council members by 4/5 vote by their charter passed that. Council and the council president and the clerk signed it. The mayor chose not to sign that specific document for whatever reason, and it was timely filed, the charter issue with the Board of Elections, and we went ahead and we certified it and placed it on the ballot. And it is on today's ballot for folks to vote by mail or come really in person.
It's already out in the field.
That is correct. And then the second item is the recall election, which is different. Then that is further charter. Residents pull petitions from the clerk of council. We have a 30-day window in which to circulate, return back to the clerk. The clerk then determines the sufficiency of the signatures on that document, if there is sufficient numbers. And then once the clerk makes that certification, provides notice to the impacted individual, the subject of the recall of that, provides a 5-day window. All that did happen. In this case, it is the mayor's office. The mayor elected not to resign. And with that, then the clerk of council files with the Board of Elections documentation stating that and asking us to schedule election per their charter. And the charter does say that is the duty of the Board of Elections, set some criteria that we set the election upon receiving that notification from the clerk. And we did that December 5th. So that's what we did. We recently, there was a court case with the Ohio Supreme Court that dealt with some of these items. And then that was provided that give that legal update on that. But that's where we are with this. And it's a little bit more, I think, kind of more of the same where we've been with these items.
On the timing of the protest, the filing, obviously, so this is what we discussed in our last meeting when this came up as a discussion, was because these ballots are already out, people are already voting.
And again, there's no petition that is filed with this body, the Board of Elections, that our staff reviewed the sufficiency of the petition, the signatures, and made sure that was, the recall, that's done by the clerk. And there was previous litigation dealing with that. And then as far as the charter amendment, that's legislation that that the council passes. And again, we're not, reviewing petition signatures or anything on that. So for us to even, determine that a petition was sufficient or not.
Thank you, Director Bellotti. I'm going to ask Mr. Musson if you would give us some insight.
Sure. The Mayor King is attempting to protest the charter amendment and the recall election. Charter amendment being on the ballot for November and the recall now set for December. And he's relying on a passage from the Supreme Court decision just recently, 9 days or so ago, where the court in, this is paragraph 21 and 22 of State Ex Rel. King versus the Board of Elections, 2023 Ohio-3668 is the slip opinion number. And then
3668 or 360?
I'm sorry, 3668.
It's in his pleading that it protest he filed, he has the wrong reference, I think. It says in his opinion at 2023 Ohio 3608.
Yeah, I'm looking at the website and it's slip opinion number 2023 Ohio 3668.
Thank you.
The docket numbers 2023-1227. In the court's opinion at 21 and 22, it deals with the mayor recall election. And the court basically was saying that we were acting without our jurisdiction. Now he's trying to get us to invoke jurisdiction based on this passage, that the board did not hold a quasi-judicial hearing on the mail recall issue at its September 27th meeting, and it was not required to do so. That's paragraph 21. Then it goes on in 22. As with the proposed charter amendment issue discussed above, King did not file a written protest challenging the petition, which would have triggered the board to hold a quasi-judicial hearing under 3501.39A1 or A2. Rather, the challenge is based on Brewer's certification of the petition, whether he possessed the authority of the clerk of council. So I think that needs to be understood in the context of this litigation, which was a prohibition. Mayor King was saying that we were acting without jurisdiction to rule on or accept the certification. Now he's trying to get us to exercise jurisdiction that he previously said we didn't have. But I think this passage is reflective of the prohibition context that it was in, that the board didn't exercise quasi-judicial jurisdiction because it didn't have it. And that is based on the last mayoral recall a year ago in 2022, October of 2022, where the court, there was a mandamus filed against the board to accept the law director's certification of the petitions where the clerk of council was vacant. I think that's not this one. There's been a few, but this case is State H.L. King versus Ford, and this has a actual bound volume site 170 Ohio State 3rd 42, and the website is 2022 Ohio-3613. And this was writ to compel the Board of Elections to remove the recall election from the ballot. Mandamus is proper, that was a procedural, but the Board of Elections has no authority under the charter to assess the validity of the recall election. And that is that was the summary, or kind of I don't want to say syllabus, but distillation by the court editor. In paragraph 31 of the decision from 2022, the court said the board declined to decertify the King recall petition primarily because it believed it lacked authority to do so. King argues that the board was wrong because 3501.11K1 provides the board with a board of elections, provides that the Board of Elections shall review, determine, and certify the sufficiency and validity of the petitions. The board responds that the city charter governs the recall process, and the charter gives the board only ministerial duties. 32. The board is correct that it has no authority to assess the validity of the recall petition. Rather, under the charter, the clerk of council shall, this quoting, the clerk of council shall certify upon such petition whether the signature of electors thereto amount in number to at least 25% of the voters voting at the last regular municipal election of officers. By using the term electors, the charter requires the clerk to certify the number of valid signatures, not simply report the gross number of signatures on the petition. And once the clerk provides her certification, the charter gives the board no discretion. The board shall forthwith order and fix a day for holding a recall election. So I think this 2022 decision is on point to this protest, trying to get the board to review the sufficiency and validity of the recall petition, which the charter places on the clerk of council. I think if Mayor King has an issue with the certification of signatures, whether they're valid or not properly registered, or there's some question on the face of the petition, that is a contest he needs to raise with the clerk of council, which you can invoke the court's jurisdiction to review that. So I think this protest is not within the board's jurisdiction and it should be dismissed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Director. Thank you, Mr. Musson. Having heard that, then I move to dismiss the protest for lack of jurisdiction.
I'll second that and just want to note if I could that the actual filing that we received is captioned as recall and East Cleveland issue 48 mayoral primary charter amendment protest, just so we identify it for the record. I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Hearing no other discussion, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
The ayes have it. It is so ordered. Thank you. Thank you. Deputy Director?
Yes.
You got something?
Well, I just will expand East Cleveland just real
Oh,
quick.
we're not
Yeah.
decision on that.
So, in today's board packet, you, approved, multiple preliminary items which we need to do because, while November 7th is first and foremost in our mind, this election, is underway. We've actually imported, language. Ryan Cleary has created a ballot, laid it out, is, completing the proofing process and starting, testing of election equipment, for that election. This Friday is UOCAVA for East Cleveland. We do have one individual in East Cleveland, who will receive or have UOCAVA ballot sent out to them, this upcoming Friday. And, election support is trying to secure polling locations. There should be 5 locations for the city, 2 private, 3 school district, one private has committed. We're waiting on the second private, and we're waiting on the school district to go ahead and sign off on that form, and hopefully we can have plenty of business in the government operations between those poll places.
Are we cutting that close? I mean, we're cutting it a little bit close, are we, or no?
Sure.
Are we timely with getting those polling locations?
Yeah,
Okay.
for when this came forward.
Okay.
So I mean, everything is out
All right.
and it's just a matter of them signing off on the paperwork. So I think we'll be okay there. Early or absentee voting actually opens up on November 7th, election day, for the other election. And so what we will do is we'll have some separation in our building for that. So there's no confusion there. We're trying to minimize confusion for the residents of East Cleveland, which is kind of difficult because while this election is going on, we don't want them to incorrectly think that they will see this on the November 7th ballot when they go to the polls. We are sending out a voter information guide, but that voter information guide is going to be placed in the mail on November 7th. So if they get that, they'll get it like the day after. And they won't think that when they go to the polls, even though it'll be clear on the document, I think there still will be some confusion of people going. So we're gonna go ahead and provide that notice to everyone in the city that this is going on. So
Excuse me, Director, would it be prudent for us to at least advise the voting location managers of that, if that question arises, just not put it out to confuse people, but just have the main points of contact in the polling location, armed with that information, and if that comes up, they can speak to it.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so because there probably will, can't say to what volume, but I would guess at least one person would say, hey, where is this question? Where do I find it? And then they need to be able to know that this is going on and know that's another election on December 5th. Maybe even be able to provide them with some kind of simple handout that they,
I think that makes sense.
cheat sheet. So that's what,
Well, just,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree, there should be some robust effort to make it clear. But then we're going to get some filing, a protest or something because we're handing out something. Somebody, I could envision somebody saying we are trying to influence the folks. I'm trying to muzzle myself about this East Cleveland, the constant litigation and complaints that are frivolous and. I just am concerned, obviously our goal is to inform the voter, we should never be, reluctant to do that.
Right.
So there ought to be a way that we can do it, but passing out something,
Yes, no.
that, arguably somebody could say we're trying to influence the recall or not. I just have some reticence about that. We should get the message out to the voters so they're not confused about what election is for what. The recall is a different election, but I'm just concerned about passing anything out about it.
And to your point, that's what I was thinking in terms of like with the old alerts, that you still do the alert to the voting location manager. It really doesn't come up unless the question is asked, and then you have one point of contact in the facility that can speak to it, and then it's not disseminated to the public. That was, I kind of noticed
Yeah,
that.
and we don't have to hand anything out. We do need to educate the voting location
Yeah,
managers.
And I'm not even saying you have to get it, alert all the poll, if you have the BLM or the BLD, those two people,
Yeah.
and that should be able to minimize confusion on the plan, not disseminate information to you.
I mean, it's because someone could say, hey, I thought this was on the ballot, I'm confused, maybe. They should have the armed knowledge that there is this next election and possibly even this is the date of it. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean,
I think we should be consistent with our practice. So when we have an issue where there's potential for voter confusion, we should do the same thing we always do in terms of having media help us educate the voters, maybe put something on the website. But I think Henry's suggestion is a good one. And if the issue comes up, great, but we do have a little bit more of a duty to inform the voters here as well, but we should be really careful about it because I just don't be handing out anything. I just think that at the polling location, that just to me goes a little beyond what we should be doing.
yeah, I understand.
And we, so we currently, not on the front page, but it will come onto the front page. We do have a December 5th. If someone goes and looks at elections, it's on that list. It needs to be because we have statutory notices we need to have posted, which we do, and then get a vote by mail. We will be transitioning to one of our buttons on the front that will say, December 5th recall election. So if somebody comes there, they'll see the big box, which will be November 7th, and then they will see that smaller one. If they're an East Cleveland resident, where it might, hopefully spark their interest going, wait a second, I want to know about that, and then they click, and they'll
Okay.
have more information here for that.
That's good. So that's helpful.
So, but so we're down that path. We'll be ready for it. We're preparing. We do plan on the back end, and we'll remind at future meetings to have this be one of those meetings where we'll do the provisional part. Registration will open them, Ryan will go over to the warehouse, and then we'll do so we'll try to take that first, and we'll fill in the middle of the meeting with other business that we will have, and then Ryan will come back and actually certify it at that same meeting.
The December 5th,
That's gonna be that,
which
Yeah,
December
December
5th, right?
5th,
We have our
yeah.
certification already on the calendar for November.
yes,
Okay.
exactly, so that, and then that will happen like at the December 18th meeting.
Okay.
So that'll be like one of those kind of where we'll hopefully we'll have enough content in the middle, if not, we will sing and dance.
Yeah.
Too, and so Ryan get back, but first, there you go. But, so unless there's any other questions, that's kind of where we are for East Cleveland. We are, like every election is important, so we're giving it our due diligence and we're preparing for that while we're executing.
Anything else?
And that's it for me.
We're done, we promise? No.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay, so we are less than 20 days away from the November 7th general election. Staff is preparing and we're on a good pace. Just as you know, it is a countywide election. We have 583 candidates on the ballot, 89 issues, including 2 statewide issues. Historically, as we look back, as we look at what turnout will be in projections, as we look at November 2019, turnout was 26%. But we think because of the 2 statewide issues, that this election will reflect more of what we had this past August, which had 39% turnout. So we're thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 to 45% turnout for this November. As far as the election officials department, they are continuing to hire and train individuals so that we have a sufficient number of polling location managers, standby workers, workers, ride-alongs, and so forth. Currently, they have about 90% of our poll workers have completed their training. That includes 90 Cuyahoga County workers who are participating in the Cuyahoga County Workers Program, as well as over 60 attorneys who are earning credit as earning their educational credits through that. As usual, we are struggling to get a sufficient number of Republicans so that we have bipartisan teams in all polling locations. We do have about 10 polling locations where we're still trying to get our first Republican scheduled to work there. So elections official department are working diligently with that. Poll worker training will continue now through October 22nd. After that, they're going to have a number of Zoom sessions, and practice makes perfect. As far as early in-person voting, that started about a week ago. We currently had 3,100 people come down here to vote. That's about 10% behind where we were last August, but it could be weather related, and we're still early in the process. Parking continues to be an issue. We're fortunate that Bryan Stratton next door over here was available. We were able to acquire. We work with Public Works. We were able to acquire that parking garage. Campus International teachers shifted over and are parking in that multi-level parking garage. So that opens up the Campus International parking lot to be used for voters. It's still, so we have designated our parking lot to be for ADA parking only, but it's still challenging, but fortunately we're working with it. Things are somewhat fluid. We're working on maybe a plan to help keep voters more on the TV5 side of the street until they get up to Euclid, because we do have the entrance is at the front. So we have the tent set up, and just encourage voters just to take a clear path to the entrance.
I just want to interrupt real quick. We have sufficient number of parking spots. The challenge is jaywalking.
Yeah.
People are darting across the street and going in between cars and trying to keep them safe, because usually cars and people are not a good mix. So that's where, what Tony said, we're gonna see if maybe Public Works can do some additional things that kind of roll off and keep people that come out of Campus International, they're kind of forced to stay on that sidewalk. And then they get far enough on the sidewalk, we're like, well, I might as well go to the corner, where we want them to go, and use the crosswalk.
Which will also help us with the campaigners. So now they'll be more towards the front of the building. They won't be by the driveway. I think it's kind of with our environment, with what we're working with, we feel like it's the best step forward.
Just not to digress, and this is a perfect segue. We need to encourage first of all, thanks to the partners who are helping us on the parking issue, many thanks to them for being willing to work with us to try to, create some sort of accommodation to alleviate some of the parking issues. But my issue, and the thing I would like us to give greater attention to with our partners at the county, is we need to move forward with a new building that provides us with ample parking. This is not going to work. I thought we were making headway and progress there. I don't know what the holdup is, but we need to renew our request of the county because it's only going to be quadruple times worse as we get to the primary and then the presidential cycle. And we're not going to have enough time to move into a new building if we don't figure this out. I mean, I thought we were making progress. We had narrowed it down. We still have the same parking issues, and despite obviously really good efforts, best efforts to address the issue, we need a new facility. So I just would say, whatever we need to do to work with the county. They've been great partners. I don't know what the holdup is, because it seemed like we had a real good solution for all this that may have been in the works. And now we were at a pause, but we need to move off the pause if we can. So, because these parking issues we're gonna have, this is the same report we've been hearing. It's the same challenge we have over and over with our parking and with voter safety, adequate space. This needs to be addressed. So
I We do not disagree. We do routinely inquire with the county, public works. They are in negotiations, with, property, trying to work out through the terms. But I don't have, they can't give me a timeline or a deadline on when they're gonna be able to bring something forward to county council. I do have the part of my presentation for my budget presentation for county council. It's in there, and I don't have a dollar amount or anything, but the need is there, and, so.
When is that meeting? Would it help if some of us come, or not to interfere with the budget meeting, but I just think that, you know, maybe our chair could go over and represent us, perhaps that, I mean, this is important. I mean, we can't, this is an impediment to efficient operation. And for the voters of Cuyahoga County, this needs to be a priority. It's just, we are making do great fashion. You guys are doing a great job. I'm not gonna get on my soapbox, but it just seems to me, now that we've got concern about voter safety, we gotta move off the dime here. I'm not saying they're not working, but we need to emphasize the need to kind of move forward and get us in a new space before, pretty soon, everybody's gonna be a holiday, then we're at 2024. We have to have enough time to even prepare the new site for the operation. I think we're getting to, you know, a critical time juncture here. So I just wanted to say that, given the report.
Yeah, I do not disagree with anything that you have said, and I'm also communicating with the county executive's office too.
Yeah.
With them, as far as anyone's welcome to come to the budget meeting, it is November 2nd. November 2nd is when, board elections will be on the docket, so, yeah, it's,
Maybe our chair can go with you and plead our case.
no, that would be great. Tony and I are tired of being magicians. I mean, because that's what you are. You're trying to make all this stuff work. It's not ideal.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I appreciate all those comments and amen, every one of them. Yeah, it is accurate. Vote by mail, actually, vote by mail, we have, ballot department has processed over 72,000 vote by mail applications, which is about 14,000 applications ahead of where we were this past August. And it's twice of what we would have had 4 years ago, you know, so just to show you the impact of these two issues on this election. And as far as our vote by mail labels that we did meet with county IT this last Monday, and we had a little issue with candidates printing their vote by mail labels that would send out. Tool. Yeah, the website tool, but we had a very productive meeting with county IT and have set up some things that we'll be able to implement this March to help keep that from occurring again.
So it's really, at the root of it is, so basically we get two kinds of applications. We get an application where a voter goes on our website, requests it, and we send them an application with the barcode, which was our preference. When those come in, we scan that barcode, goes in, no problem. When someone doesn't do that, and they send one in, we have to manually do the data entry. What has caused issue is a incorrect data entry keystroke with a character, so an asterisk or a period or a slash that someone keys in, and that can interrupt the reports and the scripts that run to post that. So the county had identified some of these characters, and we've informed staff in the ballot department to not do that. We've created an internal report that we can run before we send it that will identify that, we can make that data entry correction. And IT here has something. Well, we had all that, and then a new correct character was selected. That wasn't part of that. So Tony and I, with our IT, talked with county IT, we said, you know, we need this comprehensive list of characters, which we have. We need our reports to be able to account for all those characters. We have an expanded report. We have our county IT has expanded, but now county IT also is running something where then if it gets through A, B, and they will be C, and they will be able to make a correction on their end to that. All this happens, this is inside information, but happens at 2 AM. Because there's a series of things that run, and when they run all of these things, the interactive part of the website. So if you go on there and you put your name and date of birth and you're trying to get stuff, that comes out, doesn't work for that period of time when they're updating this. So that's where it's kind of in the middle of the morning at that point when you have lower activity. So it was good conversation, it was not combative, they are very willing, they understand the importance of these. And so hopefully for the rest of this cycle will be okay. We then talked about what is a better solution for March, a more permanent, in which there is something that they can work on in code. Can't implement it at this point where we are, but it's something that they can work with our IT to have that in there, to try to again, make this seamless. So we so we don't have those hiccups. We can account for a human keystroke error, which you're gonna have just with the volume that we do it happen. So that's kind of that's why it stopped. Now we know that, we know how we can try to safeguard against it, and there you go.
Interesting, but I guess I wasn't that clear on how involved the county IT is with our IT. So, I mean, I thought we were pretty much on a separate platform. I mean, I'm not an IT person, but I thought we had a separate platform, that we were not really reliant on them in any way for our county. And I guess I'm not clear about when our IT function and our platform starts and ends, and then somehow they are involved with their platform.
So
And it's not a question that has to be answered today, but I just would like some clear, maybe I need a Robin Roy tutorial or something.
Yeah.
well, and I think that's the lowest level simple is when there's an interactive piece that has to end up pulling the information that ultimately would come out of the DIMS database. That's where county IT kind of gets
Okay,
involved.
so that's where the issue is.
Yes, so when we, on our website, when we want to put up a message, or we want to attach links, PDFs, all that, we can do all those things. Is this correct? But it's when we get that user specific data that the county, they get more
So
involved.
this is, so our candidates are impacted by that. Is that what?
And can I piggyback off you a question? So prior to the new website, if you wanted to play absentee, it used to come pretty regularly and religiously at 7 PM that night. That's good. And now with the new website, it could be anywhere from, well, later or even midnight. I guess why, and is there a way to go back to the 7 PM time?
It's this, so it is the 2 AM thing. that
Right now it's 2 AM.
So it's 2 AM, so, and that 2 AM will capture everything that happens.
But
during
why
that day.
can't it be 7 PM? If it
One
was-
of the thing is our absentee in-person voting extended the time now. So they wanted to have a safe time zone when there is no activity or the least activity to do on this process.
You would have to shut down internal operations and make sure that there's no more data entry going in.
But we used to do that at 7 PM without any issues. That's why I'm confused why that would be an issue to go back to 7 PM.
We would cut off the file. We could have work that we could be working on before that we would stop.
Yeah, but the 7 PM, as someone who has manually chased, so I mean, and I every 7 PM pull this list. It was that days that went in the mail, like list. And so that was a set list.
The number of absentees now increased a lot in the
Yes.
recent years and the work.
So it's a volume thing?
Yeah, the work
Okay.
after
Alright.
we are done with the business hours, our absentee department will be still processing the absentees or the other activities going on. So the county came with a safe zone to do all this process and now everything is done.
All
I
right.
can actually ask for a little earlier, not just.
Yeah, I would encourage that. I mean, because I think in the evening time, I think 2 AM is a little late. I mean, I know people could catch it in the morning, but I know a lot of people that would go in the evening and pull that information. So just whatever we could do there, I guess.
And again, we will lose between like a half an hour or so of someone being able to go on the website and look something up. Like tracking my ballot won't work and those types of things. So gotta try to balance that too.
Ms.
Is there anything else you needed to add?
For Anita's question, our data is more secured here and it is under 2 firewalls. So we actually replicating this data to the county web servers. And that's a public facing one. So public cannot directly access our database. That's the reason some of the.
I'm glad to hear that we are super secure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And our database, that makes a lot of sense. I just want to make sure we're not, I mean, where does their interface start and end, but it sounds like we're in good shape.
Yeah, because they're working, the county's working on a copy.
Okay,
And not actually going into live
Right.
items because of that, and I think that's up to Lisa too. The
Yeah.
old system was before Secretary Rose issued a lot of these cybersecurity directives.
That's what I'm trying to figure
And
out.
these cybersecurity directives have completely reworked how a lot of things are happening because of
Okay.
that. I mean, it's. The unfortunate challenge is cybersecurity is great. Cybersecurity, though, does make some things a little bit more challenging and difficult.
Gotcha.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
As a couple other departments, just updates include our ballot department. They're currently this week, they're logic and accuracy, conducting logic and accuracy testing on all our ballot scanners that go out to the polling location. Each one of those machines are tested beforehand. They'll complete that this week. They're also quality assuring all the ballots that go out to each polling location to verify the accuracy of that. And then at that point, they hand them off to the election support department, who then currently they're packing all the equipment in the bags, and they'll be working with Berman's this week to have their first deliveries, and they prepare that for delivery. As a side note, we do only have 5 polling locations for changes for this election. And, but all those voters have been notified and been sent a letter. In addition, we have our voter information guide, which includes the voter information for each voter, each voter's household, indicating where they should go vote, and their city ward precinct as well. So all in all, we're in a good place at this point, and looking forward to a successful election.
Thank you. Any questions? for Mr.
I just
McCaskill?
want to say nice signs that you had.
Oh, yeah, we have enough of them, right? We, yeah.
The finance is really good.
The signage was.
That's
Yeah,
good.
Yeah,
And
and yeah,
when I get off the freeway.
and that is one thing, working with Public Works, they could help provide, work with the highway division to help provide signs right off of the exit ramp. So we are doing the most we can, but to echo your sentiment, we would much rather have a more permanent, effective solution.
Good. One sign that says.
Right.
voter information.
Maybe, just a suggestion, not every day during the week, maybe the weekends when the voting is highest, somebody could assist people crossing the street.
Yeah,
Possible, just
Yeah.
a suggestion, stop traffic with the cross.
But-
You're not gonna stop the people.
Right.
no, it's,
Hey, isn't there a law about jaywalking? You can't jaywalk.
Yeah, you're not,
Yeah.
it's illegal.
What is illegal? I'm not saying that, people don't jaywalk.
They get pulled over when I was a kid.
But I mean, to that point, I mean, it's not so much maybe us administering the walking across, but it is maybe the sheriff's, it is not, you don't wanna,
well,
we don't wanna threaten voters here with finding, but there's gotta be a solution. Somebody's gonna get hurt and then they're gonna be looking at us like, we should have done something more, but I don't know what else.
well, and that comes, oh, go ahead.
Oh, along those lines, I was just telling you, like, there are people that are like work, volunteers for candidates, they're getting very close to cars coming in, and I was a little concerned about safety issues there, if I could just raise that along with safety issues.
I was waiting for someone's toe.
I know.
Seriously, they get run over.
I was like, okay.
Um,
So just FYI, because there's someone out here. that's started it.
But that's a good suggestion. I mean, there are safety reasons that somebody could be out there, and aside from the fact that you aren't supposed to jaywalk. But maybe the queue and the extra barriers or whatever you're planning, maybe that will work.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
almost like where we can't snow fence, that kind of sort of, you can see through going up the other side, but to your original statement, so everything is jurisdictional. So the street, Cleveland Traffic Control, they're the ones who put the cones down, we've asked them, now the final weekend, of course, it's a Browns game, and on that, so they prioritize that, but we asked them if they could set up a temporary crosswalk, where they do have, like, they can bring out a mobile sign and it flashes.
That's nice.
But you need to have kind of like a traffic control officer
Yeah.
there. So we will still lobby for that final weekend when we can really realistically anticipate high volume
Yeah.
coming down and try to help out as much as possible.
Okay.
Sounds like you've got a good plan.
Do we still go one way? And then last weekend, I remember the traffic used to go one way.
Yeah, so it won't go one way, but this is what we do for the whole window is, at least out of our lot, you can only make a right.
Right, okay.
Because that person trying to make that left, that just really jams everything up. And we will, right now, we have one deputy, they've been able to give us one deputy sheriff who sits in the parking lot. We're gonna continue to talk to them. We think the deputy sheriff can do a little bit more than just sit in a vehicle. I think they need to engage more so with campaigners. That final week, like starting that Monday before the election, that one, I think increases like the 3 to 5 deputy sheriffs that will physically be on site outside of the building. So that should help too with flow and people coming across, and that they can, staffing wise, provide us with more than that until that last week.
And Terry's my traffic control officer, that sounds like the right kind of solution perhaps. One of whatever you've got.
That's
Yeah.
right. I am sorry.
Henry and I,
Yeah, we just.
we get her back. Crosswalk.
Oh, safety control,
Yeah.
Airline, things that are out there, so tarmac, and you'll be out there, yeah.
good. All right, it sounds like we're in a good place, and I thank you. I did not receive any requests for public comment.
Okay.
So hearing none, there's no need for executive session, so I move that we adjourn this meeting.
All right.
We're recessed, right?
I think it's adjourned.
Are we adjourned?
We're open, voting's open, right?
Oh, it's open,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, we got a
Recess.
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 All right.
Still
confused after
So I move that we recess this meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Probably moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.